Morning, Judge.
Hello, Judge.
I think you
I know you never have trouble talking, so there you go. And I still think you mute.
I know now I'm unmuted, so
Yeah.
No.
You never have trouble talking. I knew that, but so
I did not know I was muted. I know, good morning to everyone, and I know that Gina is Superintendent Parker's proxy. We've got Mayor Jenkins with us, so we'll call our meeting to order. And this is the special called meeting for the Georgetown Scott County Revenue Commission. Today is Tuesday, February 25th. And let the record reflect that Joe Pratt Covington, Mayor Bernie Jenkins, and Gina Amos are present, and Gina is the proxy for Superintendent Parker. So we have a quorum and we can proceed with business. From there, we will go to agenda item 3, approval of minutes from last meeting, 1/22/25. Those were shared by email. Are there any questions to those meeting minutes as presented? Would there be a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that, please.
Okay, thank you, Gina.
Mhm.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will now go to item number 4, General Counsel update, AG opinion. Phil.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. As you know, we recently obtained an opinion from the Attorney General's office whether we could publish a list of delinquent taxpayers. As we discussed last month, we wanted to review that in further detail with each of your legal representatives. And on February 13th, we had a Microsoft Teams meeting with legal representatives from the city, county, and school board. It's a very good and thorough discussion. We certainly appreciate them taking time to talk with us and give us their insight, input, concerns, and so forth on this issue. As a result of what we heard and the feedback we received from them, here at the Revenue Commission, we'd like to conduct some additional research on this topic, which will probably include also doing a survey of a couple of other jurisdictions, at least, that have gone down this path to see if they have any reliable data, whether it's been effective for them to publish a list of delinquent taxpayers. Once we've gone through those steps and gotten that kind of feedback, we'll come back to you at a later date if necessary with any specific proposal that we might have on this topic.
Sounds like a good plan, and appreciate the effort to get some feedback and information from other jurisdictions that might have had experience with a similar process. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. I'm good.
Very good. We'll move in to number 5. John, MSP conversion update.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So several months ago, the commission had approved for the Revenue Commission to convert over to the KCGC. We had heard back from Madison County, everything's in line there. We were waiting on one more piece of equipment to come in. They're expecting that to happen within this week. And we've begun the process of coordinating with 13 layers to get some initial information over to them so they can make sure that all the desktops, the virtual desktops, are set up and configured the way they need to be. And they are looking to be in here probably next week to start setting some things up, start working on the server migration over to KCGC. And then we'll be looking at a couple weeks running a dual system where we'll be still operating on our server and KCGC, and then eventually just break completely free over to KCGC.
I like that idea of having a redundancy for a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, yeah. It just gives some time to work out any kind of kinks that may come up. make sure there's no issues, and then make sure the transition's nice and smooth. Our staff here has been tremendous in adjusting things they're doing to keep up with all the changes we've been making lately. So we don't want to put too much on them heading into tax season. But like I said, they've been great and adapting to everything we've been doing over the last year.
Questions or comments?
No, not at all.
No, sir.
We will move to address number 6, three refunds, review, discussion, and approval.
Okay, can everyone see the first refund here on the screen?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so this is a whopper. This $205,539.98. You can see the city, county, and school board splits on that. This refund request is due to the taxpayer amending their 2022 net profit return, and this amendment was prompted by an IRS audit. Per our review of the IRS RAR, which is Revenue Agent Report, we agree with the amended net profit return as filed. After a complete audit review, as well of the entire account, our staff recommendation is for the commissioners to approve this refund request of $205,539.98.
Questions or comments? It is what it is.
Well,
And-
you'll feel better when we get into the stats later.
all right. I'll make a motion.
Are we making them pay it back or something?
Yeah.
More to come, Mayor. More to come.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended refund as presented.
I'll second it.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Move to the second one.
Okay, this was $21,521.13. This net profit tax refund request is due to the taxpayer remitting large estimated net profit payments for the tax year 2023. Those estimates exceeded their actual net profit liability, which created a large credit balance. The taxpayer, as you can see, they're also vastly overestimated the school board tax portion of their payments. And but they have requested a full refund of the balance. When it looks like to me what happened here, because you see the city and county are both about $5,000 a piece, which when the tax is 1 and 1, and then the school board's 0.5%, you would anticipate that the school board portion should be $2,500, but instead it's $11,500. I think someone made a big mistake there. Instead of probably calculating the tax at 0.5%, looks like they might have done it at 2.5%. So at any rate, we verified it. It is correct. I'm sorry the school board has to take it on the chin on this one, but they file how they file. So after a complete audit review, it's also staff recommendation that we approve this net profit refund of $21,521.13.
Make a motion to accept the approval for the refund.
I'll second that.
Motion, we have a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then
Okay,
last
this is
one, please.
third and final one. This is $11,050.88. The good news for the school board is that they don't have a dog in this fight. They don't have a piece of this. It's just city and county. That may help soften the blow of the last one. This is due to an employee refund request for tax year 2024. This particular employee spent a significant amount of time working outside of the Georgetown, Scott County area last year. They actually live in Cincinnati. So there was zero payroll tax withheld for the school board in tax year 24. So after we reviewed this, the Revenue Commission staff recommends this is a payroll withholding tax refund request of $11,050.88. We recommend that you approve this.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. That was easy for Gina to second.
Easy.
So if there's no other questions, then we have a motion, we second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will move on to number 7 on our agenda. Review and discussion of PIA requests.
Yes, it says 5, but there's actually only 2 explanations here. There's 1 denial and 4 approvals. So we've got the amounts here. We'll go through these. The first one, this denial is for $150. It's the $75 city, county, and school board penalties for non-filing for 21 and 22. This taxpayer is requesting for tax year 21 and 22, $75 apiece. They check the box indicating unavailability of relevant business records, but their written narrative states that they had plant-specific payroll data and destination sales reports not available to indicate a return was necessary. So not quite sure what that means, but they added another part was that basically they were unaware that they needed to file a net profit return. So per our policy, this does not establish reasonable cause for abatement, and our recommendation is to deny this request. Of course, as always, we will put in the letter that if there's additional relevant information, we'll be happy to reconsider if they would like to submit that. But this will be a denial for $150. Any questions on that one?
No questions.
No.
Question.
I'll make a motion to approve, to deny that request as stated.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and this next explanation pertains to these 4, and we are recommending approval. The first one is 5374. There's one for 50, one for 5539, and then a larger one for 12863. We're recommending approval because there's actually 3 different accounts here, and they cover 2 different years, 23 and 22. The taxpayer's power of attorney filed all 4 abatement requests. They checked the box citing an avoidable absence, but in the narrative, they stated that the taxpayer was undergoing chemo and radiation treatments, and that unfortunately, the taxpayer fell gravely ill and passed away in November. So after going through the taxpayer's financial documents, the power of attorney discovered that there were unfiled net profit returns, and they immediately took action, filed those delinquent returns, paid the tax liability, but they're requesting abatement on the penalties and interest. And per our policy, when there is a death involved or serious illness, this does fit the criteria. So we're recommending approval on all 4 of these abatement requests.
I make a motion to approve the rebatement on that.
I'll second that.
And then we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved. We will move now down to general discussion.
Okay, the first item here, in last month on the 27th, we hosted Jessamine County and the city of Nicholasville here. Mayor, you were able to come by. Judge, we appreciate you coming in as well. I know they appreciated that. It was a very productive meeting. I think they were very happy with the discussion. I also got a very nice thank you card from Judge West in Jessamine County. So that was a very good, productive meeting. Second thing I want to let you know is that we've been invited by the city of Owensboro to speak at the KGFOA. That's the Kentucky Government Financial Officers Association. They have monthly events. They would like us to speak at one of those events. It's virtual, so there's no travel involved. But they have, we've chosen July 10th after tax season and things calm down a little bit. So we're happy to be invited and happy to give them a presentation, probably similar to what we gave to KLC last year, something similar. As far as the Cabinet for Economic Development report, there were no new projects for January. As far as the KJRA projects, there's been some delays. We're attributing them probably to the postal issues in getting some of this information. In January, we actually made 2 payments, the November and December. I have received the January payment, which will be the final payment on this project for this year. Then we go into the period of 2 months where they have reached the cap and we'll be making no payments for February and March. So actually those are probably on your desk, Judge, those particular payments. So when we get that last one in and I get the next report, we'll present that at the next meeting, but we will be in the cap period starting next month. As far as individual compliance efforts, January was a good month. We collected about $46,000. You can see there, in all cases, it was mostly payroll tax. Tammy was 7,100. Our newest analyst, Michelle Disney, she really roasted it in January, 25,000 there in payroll tax collected. John was 4,000 and Denny was 3,000. So a good solid month of payroll collections for our team on delinquent taxpayer accounts. Any question on that?
And appreciate those stats. And yeah, Michelle, she was on fire.
She was. Electronic payment summary. Almost $80,000 for the month of January. What's interesting this month is 100% of it came in over the web. There were no in-house payments. Again, 93%, the majority of it was payroll for January. Again, as usually the case, 98% of it is e-checks, and it was 99% this month. I think we only had 1 or 2 credit card payments. They were both Visas, and they were $544. So that's the breakdown. People continuing to use our online payment options in droves. So any questions on that?
Questions? Thank you for me.
Okay, so now we'll move into what you're all waiting for here. We had a barn burner of a January, $8 million in collections. That is a 160% increase over the prior year, 4.9 million in total. You can see there we collected about an extra 2.1 million over January of 24 for the city. That's 183%. 2 million for the little over 2 million for the county, 141%, and over 750,000 in additional collections for this month versus for the month of January 25 versus 24, and that's 162% increase. So quite a sizable amount of collections there, and now we'll go to the quarterly stats and explain that. So these are the numbers I just showed you there, what the increases were for the city, county, and school board. In the overall, where this now puts us is $12.3 million over the prior fiscal year. So we have already collected 12.3 million more than we have at this same time last year. Now, as we know and been talking about since July, 7.7 million of that was a net profit deposit. That's a one-time thing. It's not something we see every year. And what happened in January is we also got a $3.6 million net profit payment. And this is another amended return due to an IRS audit. So that's what I said when we were talking about that big refund. That door swings both ways. Sometimes these revenue agent reports can result in a refund, but sometimes they can result in a lot of additional tax revenue as well. And that is the case here. So that was a $3.6 million net profit payment. Even without that, we had a good month. And when you take those two out for this fiscal year, we are still $1 million over last year when you take out those two amounts. Any questions on the overall on that?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Appreciate the data.
And so where we are, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, what we've collected for the city as of the end of January for this fiscal year is $5.1 million over where we were last year. For the county, it's $5.2 million. And for the school board, it's $1.9 million. So that's the collections increase based on where we are right now. What we've actually dispersed to you for the city is $4.8 million more than we had dispersed to you at this time last year. The county's a little over 5 million, and the school board is 1.8 million in disbursement. So that's your disbursement line there at the very bottom. So, and again, we're in a good place. Even with those two large net profit payments taken out, we're still $1 million over where we were this time last year. Any questions on the quarterly stats?
Got this spreadsheet. Could you share it with us after the meeting? I didn't see it in the email from Friday.
Yes, I'll send it to everybody.
All right, thank you.
Okay, no questions on this?
Oh, great data.
So for the month of January, we started a new calendar year here. So 49 new businesses and only 20 closed compared to 90 and 89 the prior year. So about 41 fewer new businesses opened year over year, but what's that? 69 fewer closed. So we're seeing that trend. Sometimes the new numbers are down a little bit, but the amount we're closing is a lot fewer. So, and then no cumulative data since it's the first of the year. And then I've updated all these numbers. That's the last page on this. 10,353 open active accounts is where we currently sit as of the end of January. Any questions on any of the general discussion items?
Me.
Scott, so when
Yes, sir.
when you close a business or close it on your account, are these people who no longer have a business in the city or the county or have simply moved out, or what contributes to that number of close when you say you close the business?
Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's a wash because a new business took over another business. So you'll have a new business created and then one being closed. John, are we still doing any administratively closed accounts that are uncollectible?
Not currently. Once I think Phil gets his feet under him a little bit more, we'll start reviewing those on a case-by-case basis. But so far, the notices we've been sending out, we've been getting responses on, so we haven't had to pursue that method yet.
Okay. So it's kind of a mix, Mayor, if that answers your question. Sometimes it's a business just closes. Of course, we know we're just like everybody else in America, we're losing our big lots and we're losing our bargain hunt. So, you know, you have those situations that happen, but sometimes it is a wash. Just a lot of times one company that owns a lot of food marts will buy out another one or a lot of McDonald's franchises. And so there'll be a new company that's in the new number and then a closed one. So it's kind of a wash overall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor and everyone else for that matter, it will be interesting to see after April when the new wastewater plant one comes online, and you look back in the next year, what the change is after that occurs. Would you agree with that, Mayor?
Absolutely. I think we're kind of keeping our eyes open as to, because we know that right now of the 16 projects that has been applied for with the new water treatment plant, they've given the go-ahead for 10 of them to go ahead and start their projects, and the other 6 will actually start when they actually put it online. So we think there are going to be a lot more businesses and other things come over because we are projecting growth to start coming right away. So we're looking at services and everything else. It's going to probably change.
Yeah, I would think there's a lot of pent up demand.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
What else do you have, Scott?
Number 9 here, the legislation update. You know, we talked about the House bill that was out there, and I sent you all advance notice when we were going to go before the City Council on the 10th, which we did and gave a presentation on that. But there's been a flurry of other bills, and Phil's keeping up with that for us. I'll let him take the lead on this, and I'll just kind of chime in.
Thank you, folks. As you know, House Bill 253 deals with the centralized collection and a potential payment portal through the Treasurer's Office. There are 5 sponsors of that bill, 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats. As of the end of business yesterday, it's still assigned to the Appropriations and Revenue Committee, and there have been no amendments filed as of yet. And by the way, I'll mention, I watched KET last night. It reminded me of a point. There have been 1,100 bills filed in this short session, which seems like a pretty high number. And I think that might lead to a lot of last minute activity within the legislature in terms of how these bills are dealt with, whether there are further amendments and so on. We're now in day 17 of this 30-day session. House Bill 490 deals with the transient room tax, and it would purport to have a collection portal through the Secretary of State's office. It's currently assigned to the Appropriations and Revenue Committee, and there also have been no amendments filed as of the end of business yesterday. Senate Bill 110 is not so much a finance bill, and it may affect the city more than either the county or the school district. This relates to short-term rentals and is sponsored by Stephen West, a Republican out of Bourbon County. It would prohibit local government from requiring an operator of a short-term rental to obtain a conditional use permit or from imposing any kind of density-based restrictions on a short-term rental. Conceivably, this could really negate the city's or our city's ability to deal with or govern short-term rentals. As you know, those kinds of things can generate a lot of noise complaints and so forth. House Bill 644 deals with insurance premiums, and it's sponsored by Michael Pollock out of Marion and Taylor counties. This bill would purport to exempt group health insurance premiums from the local government net profit license taxes. This bill has not, unlike all the other ones we're going to talk about here, this bill has not yet been assigned to a committee as of the end of business yesterday, and there have been no amendments. The last one on my list here is House Bill 650, which would purport to create something in the executive branch called the Kentucky Tax Tribunal. This is sponsored by Patrick Flannery, a Republican out of Carter County, and Jason Nimes, a Republican out of Jefferson County. As you may be familiar, there is existing now a Kentucky Board of Tax Appeals. This new bill would purport to close the Board of Tax Appeals and consolidate all those employees, their assets, their cases, and so forth into this new Kentucky Tax Tribunal, which will have judges not unlike circuit court judges. Currently, as the Kentucky Board of Tax Appeals that exists now, hears only disputes relating to the state or the county. The difference or the potential impact on this for the future is that this new tax tribunal would have jurisdiction over any and all state or local taxing agencies and shall be the sole and exclusive authority for hearings and determinations of questions of law and fact arising under all state and local tax laws. This bill has been assigned to Appropriations and Revenue Committee. There's been no amendments as of yet. If this were to take effect, it would be in part take effect in January of 2027. Scott, do you have any thoughts on? I know that you followed closely have had your ear to the ground on any opposition to these bills. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I'll know more tomorrow. The KLC board meeting is tomorrow morning, and I'll be in Frankfurt all day. That's why we moved this meeting to today. So I'll know more then. Of course, we don't collect the transient room tax here. Lori Saunders over at Tourism does that, but it would be that kind of parallels the other bill for centralized collection of occupational license tax to have the state take over that. The only difference would be whereas the occupational tax, they have identified the state treasurer's office to handle that. In this case, as Phil mentioned, it would be the Secretary of State. Both are bad ideas for the same reasons, but it would not affect the Revenue Commission directly. The insurance premiums one is concerning because that is a pass-through tax. You know, the insurance companies don't pay that. They add it on to the bills, and the insureds pay that, just like transient room tax. The hotels don't pay that. They add it onto the bill, and their guests pay it. So it sets a potentially dangerous precedent where, you know, we would be having to exempt the health insurance premiums, which is probably one of their largest amounts of premiums, individual insurance premiums compared to the other policies they write, we would have to exempt that from occupational tax from that insurance company's net profit. Well, again, the insurance company's not paying it, they're just passing it on. So I don't think that one's much of a good idea as well. The tax tribunal has a lot of trapdoors in it. I don't think that a lot goes to the current tax board, that a lot of it is local. I think they've tried to, in recreating this, they're also trying to fold in occupational tax in that, which could be, I think one of the concerns with COLA, and Louisville Metro has expressed the concern. Their director is an attorney. She looked into it pretty deeply too. The concern would be that we might lose the ability to take someone to court if they're delinquent locally. Everything would have to go through that tribunal. And that could, be a lot of indirect costs, a lot of time with us spent doing that, fighting those things at the tribunal in Frankfurt instead of fighting them here in our local jurisdiction and trying to prevail if we have delinquent taxes. Did I misstate anything there, Phil?
No, I don't think so. I think that's exactly it. The potential for us is, say if tomorrow we had something that we wanted to pursue in the legal forum, we just go down the street here to circuit court or district court, as the case may be. Whereas under this new proposal, as it currently sits, we'd have to do that through this tax tribunal in Frankfurt, which may or may not. They have the discretion whether to hear those disputes in Frankfurt or to hear them at the local jurisdiction where they stand. So in theory, that could be certainly inconvenient to us and take a lot of our, certainly affect our bottom line in terms of whether and how we pursue those.
Appreciate all those updates, and we'll continue watching, and please don't hesitate if you feel like we need to reach out to our local elected officials in Frankfurt or KCO or KOC, please let us know. Our next meeting scheduled for March 26, 2025 at 10 a.m. Is that good with everyone?
Yes.
I'm good.
Mhm.
Anything else, Scott, or anyone else?
Nope. That's it. I appreciate everybody.
Appreciate your all's time, and is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second that.
Motion and second. All those in favor, please press leave the meeting. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Do the same.